Welcome everybody, I'm Layne LaVanway, and you know what time it is. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about American Sniper. Okay, American Sniper has come out, and the wife and I got to go see it. Now, we went and saw this a couple days ago, and since then I've had time to think about the movie, and I've watched reviews, I've read reviews, I've read the comments in those video reviews, and seen some of the controversy and backlash and hatred that comes out about the true story of Chris Kyle. Now, this movie is directed by Clint Eastwood, stars Bradley Cooper and Sienna Miller, and tells the story of Chris Kyle, a sniper who's credited with the most confirmed kills in military history. Now, of course, right off the bat, there's a lot of controversy because it's based off of the book written by Chris Kyle. And so there's a lot of controversy about whether or not this man is a real hero. Should we be applauding him as a hero? He writes things in his book, apparently, that about enjoying killing anyone with a turban. There's some people who think he's a hero. There's some people who think he was a psychopath who enjoyed killing and that he killed innocents. There's all kinds of stuff wrapped around that true story. But I'm not here to talk about the true story. I haven't read the book. I didn't pay attention to the news during the time this happened. What I'm here to talk about is the movie that I paid, what was it, for the two of us, $26 or whatever, we went and saw in IMAX, that we paid to see. Did I get my money's worth? That's what I'm here to talk about. Okay, so I really enjoyed this movie, which is, this movie's coming out here, mass release in January, which is sort of a dumping ground for movies generally. Now, technically, this movie came out in December. It was released, a very limited release, and that allowed them to get into the Oscar race. But mass release, it's released now in January, and it's really good. I enjoyed it. Now, what is Clint Eastwood and Bradley Cooper trying to do? They're telling a story about a real life person taking Hollywood allowances that are always done in movies based off of true stories and Hollywoodizing things a bit. So what is their intention? Well, honestly, their intention is to make a blockbuster film. They want to make money. And guess what? It's working. Now, they really might want to get this guy's story out, and maybe Bradley Cooper and Clint Eastwood are really on board with this, with Chris Kyle, and believe that he's a true hero and his story needs to be told. But ultimately, it's a studio funding this, and they need to make money, and to make money, it needs to be a hit. And it's, it seems to be that. Now, this is a movie about Chris Kyle, and he's it. He's the focus. Bradley Cooper plays Chris Kyle, Navy SEAL sniper, and the movie is about him, and there's, you get to watch as he goes on 4 tours of duty, and you get to see him at war, and you get to see him at home, and some of these action sequences are very intense when he's in war. I was very like, oh man, what's going to happen next? Oh, is he going to get that guy? Oh, are they going to survive? Who's going to die in this shootout? And then you get to come home. And what I liked about when he comes home is each time he comes home, sometimes it's subtle, sometimes not so subtle, but you can see how the effects of war are affecting him, like whether it's just the neighbor mowing their lawn and the lawnmower starts, or it's a dog attacking his daughter, maybe not even really attacking, but appears to be attacking, or it's cars following too close and changing lanes, and he just suspiciousness. There's these elements to see that he's having a hard time letting go. Plus, he doesn't want to talk to his wife about it because he wants to protect her. He doesn't want her to know these grisly things, but it keeps him within himself and it shuts him down. And and so you start to feel for the wife. So one of the things I didn't like about the movie, though, was it didn't focus enough on other people. So, yes, the movie is about Chris Kyle, and we're following him and his journey through war and through home life, but there's a cast of characters around him. His wife, who's the only one who gets any sort of real attention, and then he's got all his squad mates. Some of them die, some of them don't return to tours of duty, but those who leave or die, I didn't feel much for, because I never really got to know them that well. They're just not very fleshed out characters because the attention is meant to be on our main character of Chris Kyle. But for me, that's a little bit of a negative, because if Chris Kyle cares if they die and it maybe motivates him to vengeance or something like that, well, I don't necessarily care about that motivation if I didn't care about that character. So I feel like that was a bit of a flaw in the movie. Also, they touch on the PTSD a little bit. It might have been interesting to go into it more how he was affected, besides just sort of being cold and you know, what sorts of other issues he had at home. You also didn't get any scenes of mistreatment at home. You did get a scene where a soldier recognized him and was like, "Oh, you saved my life, and you're a great person," and told his child, "Oh, your father's a great man." But what about any scenes where people who don't like him, who were anti-military or anti him, even just anti Chris Kyle, and anything he had to go through? That would have been that could have been interesting to see too. I think one of the interesting things about this movie is, if you watch it, whatever your mindset is, this movie can sort of fill. If you're America, and America's the best, and it's the greatest thing in the world, then you're going to go watch a movie about how America is great, and the military is great, and we go and we kill terrorists, right? And then we kick butt. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see Chris Kyle and our military kicking butt. If you're of the opinion that maybe Chris Kyle, he was a good military man, that's about it, maybe, maybe you don't feel like he was a good person. But as a military person, as a job, whether you think, whether you agree with the war or not, as a military person, he was awesome. But that was it. Well, you're going to see that too, because you can easily pull out those elements of where you think, ugh, it's not that great. And then if you don't like Chris Kyle, you don't like this thing, you can pull that out of here too, watching him kill. And he does call them savages, which a lot of people are trying to, act as if that wasn't in the movie. When I've read comments, yes, he calls them savages. In the movie, he continues to go back to war over and over his choosing to go to war over his family. So if you don't like Chris Kyle, I think you could watch this and still go, oh yeah, I don't like this guy. I clearly don't like this guy. And there it just confirms it. It may soften it some from what you think, but it could be there. It could fit a lot of things, which is, I guess, if you're trying to make a blockbuster, like I mentioned before, that's pretty good. You want to appeal. You can appeal to a large number of people, even with different opinions, and if they can pull out their feelings about it, and have the movie agree with them, if they feel that way, if you feel the movie agrees with you, and then you're probably still going to enjoy it. I just want to mention the fake baby real quick. We're watching and he has a baby, and him and his wife, and it's so clearly fake. It was laughable. It was just, we were like, what is up with the baby? It was so clearly fake. But an interesting thing, since it was just today that I saw a thing about the fake baby, because it's been going around, this fake baby in the movie. And apparently on the day they were to shoot that scene, the baby number 1 had a fever. Baby number 2 was a no-show. And so when one of the people asked Clint Eastwood, what do we do? You get the doll. You get the doll. We're not stopping. So he wasn't trying to make a point, or who knows what, if he even cared enough, like, oh, it's fake, but whatever. But that was why. They were going to be real babies. And they had 2 babies, and neither of them worked. So the man, Clint Eastwood, was just like, we're going to move on and get the doll. We're shooting. That's what's going to happen. So that's apparently what's up with the fake baby. All right. So let's get to the end. Let's get to the grade. I'm giving this a B+. I had a great time during this movie. I thought it was intense. The war scenes were intense. I liked some of his family drama. Again, I mentioned I would have liked to have felt a little bit more with the other characters, so that I felt more of the emotional impact of deaths or them leaving. And I also don't, just as a point, I just real quick want to mention, I don't feel like I need an explanation into the bad guys. Now, yes, this movie is using real life people, but I can watch movies about scenarios and not need a full explanation. Do I need to know all the depth of why Sauron from Lord of the Rings is the bad guy? No. My guys are the good guys, and they're the bad guys. I watch a movie about someone trying to get drug dealers because the drug dealer killed their family. Well, do I need a full explanation about, maybe the drug dealers had a good reason to kill his family, and maybe, the man just doesn't understand what's happening. No, I'm watching a movie. And I don't always need that. They're bad guys. This guy's a good guy. He needs to go kill those bad guys or avenge them. Okay. There is now interesting bad guys can be done when they've got some depth to them, but it's not always needed. So just for me, I don't necessarily need, just because it's a real life group of people, I don't necessarily feel like I need half this movie to be a deep explanation of their side of things. Because guess what? That's not what the movie's about. The movie's about our side of things. So you go to another country and they make movies about their military. I'm sure it's based off those movies are more, I was going to say fictional, this isn't entirely fictional, but their movies are based more off of there. Britain probably makes movies about their side, their military, and their side of the war, and things they had to do during World War II, and whatever they're making. And if you had a movie made somewhere in the Middle East about their military, you'd see it from their point of view. I mean, it's just, that's the way general storytelling happens. You tell it from the point of view that you generally know best, and most people, will generally just accept that for the movie you're watching. Anyway, B+. So, yeah, if you guys like this video, hit the like button and share it with your friends. Leave a comment below, because this movie has a lot of controversy. We can talk about it below if you'd like. I have no problem with that. I personally enjoyed the movie. If you don't like war movies, if you don't like our military, or you might not like this movie. If you don't have to be pro-America, but if you're pro-soldiers, or you like war movies in general, you just like a war movie, it's a good war movie for what it does. So I recommend seeing it, and make sure you go ahead and subscribe so you can see all my movie reviews and see all the other content on the channel. My son occasionally reviews a movie, and we've got our Psych Flick series here on the channel where we analyze characters from movies from a psychological standpoint, so that you can better understand these different characters, and that's a fun series. So you check all this out, and just a regular guy who likes talking about movies with my friends, and now we can get a bigger community here on YouTube, and I can talk to you guys about movies, and we can have discussions. So until next time, watch more movies.